of my screen, and you can stop your screen sharing. I'll share mine here. Zack. Can I stop that somehow? That should be working better. Zack. Can you see my screen? Good. Okay, so during the last lecture, we have worked here on our string X, and I think in the end we finished at least this small compare function. So this is already quite a useful thing, because we will be able to use it to implement other functionality later on. But for now, let's see what's the next thing that we could implement. So what is also a very useful function is this substring function, which allows you to create a new string, which is just a small excerpt of the existing string. So you can specify a start offset and a stop offset. And when you did that, then from this, a string of the appropriate content will be generated for you. There are, in some more advanced implementations, also approaches where the string is not really duplicated, but just a sort of string view object is used, which just allows access to a selected part of the string. But such an approach is a bit complicated, because the string is then no longer null terminated. So you cannot feed such a string view to for example, a Windows API that expects a zero terminated string, because the memory that this thing hands out would really only be the memory of the original string, and then after the piece that you wanted, of course, the string continues and there is no null anywhere. So for our use case, we just go with a simple substring implementation, which will just create a new string as a copy. And I think we are still, however, we are still, I think, missing a test case for this compare, because we ran out of time the last time. And if I recall correctly, Mr. Thaler implemented the compare function. So maybe, or was it Mr. So maybe you would like to add also a test case today for it. Nothing too complicated. Just instantiate two strings and compare them with each other, so that the task is fully completed. Hello, are you there? Well, the user is in the chat, but it's not responding. Well, then for now, let's continue with the substring function. So I'll create the prototype, and then we will need a volunteer to implement start und size running. Okay, and compare we have. Just missing the dingsbumster, the test case. So I would suggest that maybe Mr. Polwadi tries implementing the substring function here. I think he hasn't yet participated in any online task. So to do it, you would need to connect remotely using real VNC to the virtual machine open here, and then you can in real time write some code, and we can see and help you doing it. Do you think you can do it? Hello, hello. Yeah, why not? Um, so we would implement the substring function, which will take a string at a, so you have a longer string, and then you specify a start offset and the length, and then you only take this many characters to create a new string from the already existing string. To do this, you need to connect via VNC. So on the website realvnc.com, you can download the viewer um, for free. It's a so the viewer itself doesn't cost anything. You only need the license for the server, which we have here. Um, and then you can connect and remotely control the virtual machine. And you will connect. I will set the IP in the chat. Thanks to this IP. I can send you a link for the viewer as well. And I'm pretty sure it's available for macOS because it's a big company, so they would not let out such. Hmm? There's a link, and they offer a DMG file, which I guess you can just double click and then it will start doing something on a Mac. Is it working? VNC permission creator. That sounds not how it behaves on Windows or Linux. You should just have a window which asks you to log in with an account and gives you the option to continue without a login as a link on the bottom that you can click. I unfortunately don't have a virtual machine with a Mac OS on it, so that I cannot test how the viewer behaves on other platforms. But I think it should be reasonably straightforward. Just click it and start it. Mm. At some point, it should ask for a password. Mm-hmm. Did it start? Okay. If it asks you for a free trial, then you downloaded the server and not the viewer. Have you downloaded from the website that I sent in the chat? And then you select Mac and viewer. And there is no option like continue off without login or something like that? Yes, try this. Then you should not need to create an account or trial. Can you share the screen again? Yeah, use Real VNC Viewer without sign in. There is a text on the bottom. You can click on it. Yeah, click. Did and the window is still there or did it went away? No, I still see the last version of the window that was shown before it disappeared. Because you only shared one window, you didn't share the whole desktop, and then yeah, now I see the whole desktop. Right, and now on the top in the address bar, you enter the IP address from the chat. The 213 and so on and so on. In the chat window of Zoom, there is a IP address before the download link. Yeah, enter. That should be it. Doesn't want to connect. Interesting. Do you have a firewall or something that would be blocking the connection? One moment, please. Maybe there is the wrong redirection. The virtual machine was not on the network. Be fixed in a second. 0.3. Yeah, wait. 0.23. Okay, try again. Yeah. Continue. And the password is in the chat. Okay, now you have control. I will start this screen sharing on my side. Again. Zack. Okay, so as said, it is quite a simple task. We simply want to create a string which is based on the current string. So first we of course need to do some sanity checks. First of all, if start is within the range of the existing string, because if it's out of range then we just return an empty string. And second, if length is correct, so if it's like the right amount of characters that would fit in the current string, or if it's larger than that, if it's too large. We actually can even add a default argument of -1, which means max length, so that if the end offset would be outside of the string, we just truncate the request to whatever length we have available and can serve. So we don't throw exceptions here, we only return an empty string in the worst case. So I would recommend just first starting with some ifs to first check whether the uStart is within the available length of the current string. It's m arrow u length, not m underscore, because here we hold all the things on our helper object, not directly on the current object. Arrow, like minus greater than. Not you don't write arrow like the word, like in line 152. Dash greater than. Well, and then greater than. You need two characters. Yeah, that's that's the operator to access member variables from a pointer. And then we just return an empty string. Yes? Yes, it should be. And you need to correct in line 166 to the right argument name. It's uStart with a capital S. Well, NTAU. So the name of the variable must be exactly the same as in the argument list of the function, otherwise it will not work. Yes. Yeah. Okay, that looks promising. So now the next step will be to handle the uLength variable as provided as a second argument. We basically want to check if the length exceeds the bounds of the current string, and if it does, then just truncate it to the right amount of characters. Yes, just add a new if after the first check. Maybe add a space, an empty line in between to make it more readable. And then you can write your condition for the if. It's again uLength, not just length. And capital L. It's not Visual Basic, it is case sensitive, unfortunately. Well, first of all, it's uStart, and m underscore uLength should be m arrow uLength. If you have problems with the modifier keys on the keyboard, just write it out. It's just replacing an underscore with an arrow, that is fast enough. Well, you have more starts and more uLengths that needs correcting. And let's see, start plus length. If this is greater uLength, then start. Yeah, that looks correct. On the first glance, it seems fine. So once you corrected the two starts and uLengths, I mean, you could put both in the same. Let me do that very quickly. You can just put both in the same condition with an OR, and then we only need to fix one of them, uStart and uLength. Okay. Good. So we have valid offsets. So now we only need to return a substring from our existing string. So in principle, when we scroll up and we see how the constructor works, here we see that we can in principle just provide the pointer and the length to a new string and return it. So you just need to get the right offset from the current m. So basically m arrow p data square bracket u start closing bracket is the pointer, and the u length you already have. So we just need one more line and the function should be doing something. Well, you want to return the new string, the excerpt from the existing one. You have a constructor. You can just write return c string x. Well, you need a return. Well, you can do it as you wish. There are more than one way to do it correctly. That's not quite what we want. So the create function creates a inner structure, the s string. What we want to do is we want to return a c string. You can use write return c string x, yes. That should work. Now let's go to main and make a test case. The other file, main cpp. And we can create a test case, so just create a new string with some longer test content, and then let's extract one of the substrings. So you could write a string with the content test. This is a test. And then we want to extract something out of it, like the word is, for example, or one of the tests from the beginning or the end. You can copy line 28, for example, and then just change the name of the variable, and then change the name and change the content of the string. Yeah, you can just copy the line. Yeah, you can also write a new line from scratch. That also works. Yeah. Take something longer. Like test, this is a test. No, just test, space, this is a test. Yeah. And you need to change the variable name, of course. And also I would recommend to put it somewhere further down so it doesn't mingle with the other test cases. Just add yeah, here somewhere. And give it a different name, not append word, but long string, for example. The name of the variable, it's now the same as it was on line 28. It needs to be something else. So instead of append word, you can write, for example, long string. And then on the long string, we call the substring function. And so you make a new variable. Let's say c string x test string is equals long string dot substring, and then you specify the offsets and the length you want to. Mm-hmm. No, a long string, not a CS string, just long string. Python is different, yeah. Punkt, long string dot. You want you need to call a function on it, so you use the dot operator to call substring, substr. And now you just pass, yeah, the arguments. Start at offset 6 and ask for 4 characters. We will see if that's correct. And semicolon, yeah. I think the C string wants to know which type it is of, so you should add the pointy brackets and char. If you would be using a newer C standard in our project configuration, that would be able to figure this out on its own, but we only use the older one. You just should add this char in pointy brackets between the type and the variable name. Just add pointy bracket char pointy bracket instead of the underscore. Pointy, not curly. That's not the right bracket type. You want it to look like the line 46. You need curly brackets and char. This ones, yes. But it should be char inside of them and sub be after it. Because it's just a type of the character. And then we need the name again. Sub. Not inside the curly brackets afterwards. Yeah, and now you can print it to see out, like in line 43, just with sub instead of my string. Okay. Can you add this std end line also in line 43 so that we have a nice line break and don't mix the test results? Just at the end, before the semicolon. Add this std endl in the line where you have the cursor right now. Now you also need the shift operator. Okay, and now we can run the project and we will see if I gave you the right offsets or if we are off by one. That could be. Yeah, just press play. And press play again. And now we can switch to the window. It's on the right, on the bottom in the taskbar. Click. Yeah, it worked. Haha, nice. So this works nicely. So let's see. So this would be that. So let's see what else we would like to have. And for the next task, we'll need another volunteer. The find function would be a nice function to have. So the job of the find function is to return, basically to find something that we specify. Let's call it to find, and it takes an optional start offset. But if none is specified, it just goes for 0 and searches the string for the begin. And then of course you would also want a reverse find, but that will be the next assignment. Which just searches from the back of the string. Yeah. So let's see. Any volunteers who would like to implement the find function? Maybe Miss Chiara? Okay. Mhm. I think the IP address changed. Use the one from the chat. It should, in principle, allow multiple clients to be connected at the same time. It worked. Sure. So if we don't find anything, we return -1 to indicate failure. Yes. One small improvement would be to add the length of to find to you start, because if we start, let's say we are looking for something that's 10 characters long and we have specified you start to be, let's say, character 95 of a 100 character string, then something that's 10 characters long will no longer fit into the remaining 5 characters. So it's a small edge case which it's good to test for. You just make a start plus to length of to find. Oh, here as the same condition. Just to find dot m arrow u length. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Quite. We need to change then the greater equals to just greater. Because if it is equals, it might still just fit in. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Looks right. And yeah. Yeah, you need some second loop which will be comparing the all the characters from the which runs from 0 to length of to find. But you could also use a for loop, so you don't need to. Whatever you prefer, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And then the whole loop should be like indented back because it's somehow. Uh, oh, I see a problem. You have a non-closed bracket in line 164. You have two opening brackets but only one closing bracket. Just remove one of the excess opening brackets at the beginning. Yeah. That's why the thing started with the indentation of the for loop one tab too far to the right. So we might want to move it back. If you mark the whole code block and press Shift Tab, then it will tab backwards. Not the whole thing, just until line 167. Not so much. 2 lines less. And the return, yeah, and tab twice. No, sorry. Shift Tab once more. Okay, and now just return one tab plus. Yeah, now it looks nice. Well, we need a test case, but it looks like it should be working. You could grab the long string and search for the index of this. We already know the index should be 4. 6. The index should be 6. You need to provide the string that we are looking for. So, for example, just let's say we want the word this. We are looking for the word this. Well, it should be in double quotation marks since it's a string. Also, we already have a long string, so you don't need the copy. Yeah. Yes, but the return type is wrong. Type doesn't return a C string char, just at size t. Where the C string X should also go. We just want size defined. And then of course print the find somewhere. Just find, not mind find something. Just find without C and no C string. It's just an integer. Should be able to print it on its own without any. And Endle has, yeah, now it's fine. Okay, let's run it. Huh? MP data capital D in line 170. Okay. Remove the breakpoint and continue the run. Now you close the window. You need to restart it. Delete breakpoint, stop. Yeah, run. 6. Yep, that's the right offset. Okay, so that works. We should add also some test cases, maybe for like first and last string. So you can see if we can find the offset of the word test. You can just comment this line out, make a copy of it. Yeah, make a copy. Insert the copy. Comment, yeah, there, yeah. And now replace this with test with a small t. And then let's see if it gives us a offset. Test. Yeah, let's run. Well, that's probably right. And now test with a capital T. That should be 0. Yeah, works nice. Great. So we have a substring, and let's see what we want to do next. Yeah. So let's see. So that was that. That was that. Replace. So since we didn't have any homework last time, we should think this time ahead of time of some homework. So let's write somewhere here. 0, 6, 11, 20, 25. Implement the reverse find function. It um, um, hmm, so this is how it works. You specify an offset at the backward to start, and then it looks from the back going forward to find the first occurrence of the test, or rather the last occurrence. So this should work, and then let's see if we can add a few more simpler homeworks. There are these left and right functions which are quite trivial. So we'll add that as well. Homework 2. Homework 1 from the homework 2 from the implement. And this should be quite easy because it really is quite trivial. String start gleich left capital L left 3 is equals 3. So in principle they can be implemented just by leveraging substring. So it's really like a one line per function sort of assignment. So it's easy enough and should not be too complicated. I want those to be placed here. X string left okay, and we have 15 minutes, so I'm not sure if we can do much, but maybe we could do one thing. So from the people that are here, maybe Mr. Armin to implement the trim function, which is supposed to just remove excess white spaces on the front and back of the string. So if we have a string that looks like this, space, space, 1, 2, 3, blah, bloop, space, 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 this will be just converted to just this. And we can make it more exciting. Let's also trim things like tabs. So it's quite easy. You just need to find the start and stop offset, looping from the start and from the end of the first character, which is not a white space, and then having those offsets, you can return the string using substring, which already has been implemented. Hello, hello, Mr. Armin. Perfect. Just from the front and back, no start offset. It's a very useful function when parsing text in some ways, because you often have white spaces to make it more readable, and then with this you can easily remove them after having tokenized the string in some way. You can just check m arrow p data at the index of Um, so the way I would do it is I would just try to find the indexes. So I would just, and inside the loop, I would just loop until I find the first non-white space and then break the loop. And then I have the index. Basically, the loop index would already be the start position. So I would just move. Well, I would make a second loop that goes from the back. Yes, because the string might be arbitrarily long, and we know where it ends. So looping through the whole thing is kind of inefficient. Uh, to comments, it should be single quotation marks, and maybe add an or with backslash d as well in a second condition, so that we also filter out tabs. Just backslash d inside the single spaces, single quotation marks. The elite hacker version would be to just look up the hex value of backslash t and write it instead, but that's just unnecessarily complicated. Yeah. Hmm? Yeah, you just take the start that you have found, and then you specify. Once you are done, you just call substring as the last task inside your function. You just yes, yes. You just should take the size start out of the loop so that it will. Or you can set end to be it before you break. That's also an option. There was also a bracket missing. Yeah. Yes. Well, no E. Actually, there was a yeah. That. Wait, do we want the end to be the end? Not also not quite. Not really. Just make a new variable for that. That's the simplest. Except that you are going from the back. Yes. Mhm. Well, you just write substring from start is front and end is end minus front. So return substring white space front. No, no, the idea of trim is that it returns a new trimmed string. It does not modify the existing string. Yeah. I think the end needs minus front because it's the length. Okay. Then let's test it. Oh, that should work. It would be nice to print maybe quotation marks so that we know, so that we see that there are no white spaces. You need to escape them with a... that should actually work. Yeah, that will work. Will it? Trim needs a trim.cstring. Yeah. Yeah, that should be fine. It didn't do anything. It didn't do anything interesting. Maybe substring is broken. No, we tested substring. Substring works. If it's not, the condition should be not an or but an and. If it's not this and not that. Okay, let's run. Better. It apparently. So we start at the end, we go to the front. Oh, I know why. I from your length -1. Yes. Yes. Well, so you need to add a +1 when you save the index. I +1 here. Yay, perfect. And perfectly in time. Okay, so we already have some homework, so this is good. I think this is good enough. Replace, we might try to implement during the next lecture. And the next or over next homework will be to modify the begint to use this copy and write mechanism that we have implemented in the CX string. So you can already start thinking about how you do that, but it will be only scheduled a bit later. Since we had a few participants which did not yet actually actively participated, I will send to those people a reminder email that they should show up and volunteer during one of the next lectures. Yeah, and yeah, and I think that's it. So we will see each other in 3.5 hours for the lecture, or if you don't participate in the lecture, we'll see each other next week. So bye bye for now, and yeah, and that's it.